Hello everybody, it is me, Alex the Hunted. Have you ever wanted to feel like a kid? Well, today's movie is for you. I mean, it's giant robots fighting giant monsters. What is there not to love? And by God, do we love it, because this is Pacific Rim. So our movie begins with a narration and exposition dump. This is basically here to be a world building tool, and it does it really well because it's told through flashbacks and narration how this whole kaiju thing started. The first attack, how the humans managed to stop it, and how the humans managed to find a way to defend themselves from every other kaiju attack that keeps on coming. This is really how you do exposition. Also, they got destroying the Golden Gate Bridge right out of the way at the start of the movie because, you know, it has to be destroyed in every single movie that it's in. And this movie just got it out of the way at the start. Anyway, we cut to 7 years later into the Kaiju War. The year is 2020. Sweet, so only 3 years from now, we'll have kaijus that... Oh wait, that's not a good thing. But anyway, we'll have giant robots, so that's cool. And we meet the two Becket brothers as they are called into a fight to stop a kaiju before it reaches land. Anyway, the two brothers are joking around and having fun and, you know, really connecting as a family. So you obviously know what that means. One of them is gonna die because you can't have happy families in movies. Anyway, they suit up and get into their Jaeger, Gypsy Danger, and dear God, does it look cool and just awesome and good. It's a combination of every single robot toy that you got from when you were a kid, Power Rangers, and just everything Japanese. It's such a great piece of design. Also, as they head out, we see Idris Elba, who is playing, well, Idris Elba. He's one of the coolest men alive. Seriously, I'm all for him becoming James Bond. He just has that class and sheer coolness that a James Bond should have. He's way more cool than, let's say, Daniel Craig. The two brothers connect mentally and they head out to kick the kaiju's ass, which is in the middle of the sea, which just so happens to have a fishing boat there, which doesn't really make much sense in a world of giant kaiju and robots. I mean, really, small fishing ships like this, boats like this, would kind of been outlawed and banned, I would probably think, in this kind of world, since, you know, the seas aren't safe. Nothing in the sea is safe because they could just come up, a kaiju could just appear. Really, most forms of boat travel probably would have been banned or just discontinued by this point. It doesn't really matter because a kaiju named Knifehead appears, and yet again, this is just a great piece of design. All these kaiju that you see in this movie all look unique and have their own kind of character to them. Anyway, Gypsy Danger arrives and we get our first fight of the movie, and it's just awesome. While these movements aren't really fast, you can definitely feel the weight and force behind every blow. And the camera work is just amazing. It's so nice to see an action scene and a fight scene in a movie these days which isn't ruined by the stupid shaky cam. So the fight starts off well. They beat Knifehead up and they think they killed it when they blast it with their plasma cannon. However, it comes back again and starts destroying Gypsy Danger, ripping off one of the arms, and to everyone's surprise, killing off one of the Becket brothers.
Only listen to me!
Anyway, Becket manages to kill Knifehead with one last blast of the plasma cannon, and he also manages to limp to an island where he collapses, and then we cut to another 5 years later, where we see that the Jaeger program is being shut down because they just keep losing. And the government have a new plan. Build a giant wall around the ocean to keep all the bad monsters from getting in. There is such an easy joke I could make about that. Anyway, Idris gets every remaining Jaeger to Hong Kong to get prepared for a giant all-out assault on the rift in the sea and try to blow it up to stop the kaijus from getting through. Anyway, we cut to the wall where Becket has given up being a Jaeger pilot and is now just working on the wall that will absolutely 100% keep all the kaiju out. So we see a news report showing that the kaiju break through the wall with absolutely no problem at all, and was luckily killed by the Jaeger that was just about to be taken away from the area. However, the politicians still insist that the wall will work. Seriously, you have no idea how easy this joke could be. So Idris Elba finds Becket and tells him that he needs a pilot for a Jaeger. But Becket refuses, saying that he will not pilot a Jaeger again because he doesn't want to feel what he felt when his brother got killed. So Becket agrees to pilot a Jaeger again as they fly to Hong Kong. And this is where we meet the best character in the movie, Meko Mori, and I am not lying when I say she is the best character. She's a multiple layered character, she has a great arc, and is also a total badass. She's also acted perfectly, and I'm not surprised that she's one of the few returning characters in the Pacific Rim Uprising sequel. Anyway, we get introduced to Mori, as well as two scientist guys, who will also be our funny comic relief characters. But they also serve to the plot, they aren't just there to be annoying and crack jokes. These characters also have their own arcs and personalities. See, this is what this movie gets so right that the Transformers movies get so wrong. We also get to see all the other Jaegers. And I don't know about you, but seeing them parade these Jaegers around, I kind of think there's something missing from this scene.
Crimson Typhoon, China, one of the greatest. Assembled in Shansu, full titanium core, no alloys, 50 diesel engines per muscle strand, deadly precise fighter.
Only $29.99, comes with free armed Kung Fu grip, batteries sold separately.
The T-90s, Cherno Alpha. First generation Mark 1, the heaviest, oldest Jaeger in the service, but make no mistake, Mr. Becket, it's a brutal war machine.
And is made from real steel, and can be yours for only $39.99, plus shipping and handling. Anyway, we meet these new Jaegers and their characters who don't really have any lines at all, really. So we all know that these Jaegers and their pilots are going to survive all the way to the end of the movie. So the scientists argue about their theories, with one of them suggesting the theory that there could possibly be a 2 Kaiju event that go through the rift, and then 3, and then more and more until they basically are overrun by Kaiju. So now the movie has its ticking clock aspect. The other scientist proves that while all these Kaiju look different, they're actually clones because they have exactly the same DNA. But here's another little great detail I love. You see, most movies that have 2 or more scientists would have at least one scientist who is a jackass who ends up being wrong in the end. And this movie doesn't have that. They're both right, and yes, they both have egos, but not one of them tries to sabotage the other so one of them gets all the glory. They both know the stakes that are involved with this mission, so while they don't exactly get along with each other, they know that they have to suck it up because really there are more important things than if they don't really like each other that much. Honestly, we don't get much kaiju action for quite a while in this movie, but that doesn't make this movie boring because we get a lot of much needed character development, which is the problem with movies like these. Movies like Godzilla 2014, Destroy All Monsters, hell, even the Transformers movies, these kind of movies that focus on the human characters, they focus more on what the human characters are doing than who these people are. Actually build up a character. Which makes it boring because, yes, while they might be doing stuff, you don't really care about them because they're not interesting characters or people. So that's why people complained about the 2014 Godzilla movie because, well, the characters weren't interesting. So without anything interesting, we're just wanting to see the kaiju action. Now, I'm not saying everyone gets this great... Now, I'm not saying that every single character gets a good story arc and character development. I mean, the Jaeger pilots for Chiron Alpha and Crimson Typhoon, they get about, 5 lines between them? But then again, as soon as they're introduced, you kind of know what their fate will be. Also, we get an Australian father and son team, the son being the typical hotshot jackass character, but I just love the way he says Becket's name.
I'll see you around, Raleigh. Here's the thing, Raleigh.
While the father character's a much nicer guy, it's clear that he's emotionally spent. After all these years of just death and loss that he's gone through. I mean, it's no coincidence that you don't see his wife. Anyway, after some sparring, Becket fights Mako, and Mako wins, and Becket chooses her as his co-pilot. However, Idris says no and storms off when questioned. Meanwhile, scientist Charlie tries to drift connect with a kaiju brain, and he sees some really strange shit, causing him to react the same way I do after watching Teen Titans Go. Anyway, Idris lets Mako and Becket go on a trial run to see how drift compatible they are. And things start off well, however Mako starts remembering her past and gets lost in one of those memories. Where we see Mako's past is basically all her family were killed when a kaiju attacked when she was a little girl, and Idris Elba came to save her and kill the kaiju that looks a bit like Ebra. So Idris became her surrogate father, and that's why he's so overprotective over her. However, her flashback also causes them to nearly get ready to fire their weapon, and I would have thought that they would disable this kind of stuff for when they do a trial run in case exactly this happens. But really, it just gives us a little bit of an action scene before things really kick off. Anyway, Charlie the scientist wants to drift with a kaiju brain again, and he is told that the best place to get a kaiju brain is in the black market. And he is told to look for a guy called Hannibal Chow, who can get him that stuff. As he goes to the black market, my god, these are just things I love about Del Toro. Just look at these sets, look how much style and character they have in them, and they're all practical effects. Look, I just love all this attention to detail and work that he always puts into these movies. They're just fantastic. Anyway, after an argument, some fighting, and Idris Elba being a badass, we finally get some kaiju action, as not one, but two kaiju come through the rift. Crimson Typhoon, Chiron Alpha and Striker Eureka are sent out to defend the city because the kaiju are coming right that way because, well, Charlie the scientist drifted with a kaiju brain and the kaiju kind of work on a hive mind sort of way, so now that they know that humans are drifting with the kaiju brains, well, they're going after him to, I guess, kill him. Anyway, the kaijus appear and the Jaegers engage it in battle. Things start off going pretty well, maybe because this is one of the first American movies that was shown in China. So I'm sure these Chinese characters will do great and defeat the kaiju with absolutely no problem at all and save the world, because, you know, that's kind of what happens for these movies that have to be sold in China. Well, I guess not, and that's kind of surprising. Oh, well, I mean, there's the Russian Jaeger that's still in the fight. I mean, I'm sure that's going to do just as well, because the Russians, they love propaganda. They want everything to make Russia look amazing and great, so I'm sure these guys are going to save the day. So I'm surprised that this movie, which was one of the first ever American movies to be shown in China, had the Chinese characters just do so badly. And this movie was a huge hit in China. It was because of China that saved this movie from being a giant flop. I mean, the main reason we are getting Pacific Rim 2 is because of China. Anyway, Striker Eureka also gets disabled by an EMP that one of the kaijus can create. Wait, this movie came out a year before Godzilla 2014, where the Mutos could also create an EMP. That seems a bit too coincidental.
So after some more arguing, Idris finally lets Riley and Maury go out in their Jaeger to fight. Huh, I wonder how Riley told Maury they were going into a battle. You know, Riley and Maury.
Maury, we got giant robots, Maury. Giant robots. We gotta go fight monsters, Maury. Maury are in a giant robot. Maury, fight monsters. Actually, they're called Kaiju, which is Japanese for giant monster. Maury, we gotta go fight a giant monster with giant monsters robot. Maury, let's go. More giant robots.
Anyway, they finally send Gypsy Danger into battle, and, well, it's just simply awesome. This fight scene is just amazing. It's clear to watch, and you can see everything that's going on. And my god, does it just make you feel like a kid again when you watch it. So as the fight makes its way to the city, Gypsy Danger kills one of the kaiju by unloading its plasma cannon into it, just leaving a burning corpse. While that's going on, Charlie the scientist is in a public shelter to hide from the kaijus that are after him. However, that doesn't really work, and the kaijus just dig to him, and are just about to get him when Gypsy Danger comes holding a boat. Yes, it's that awesome. They're using a boat as a baseball bat. Oh my god, this fight scene is so amazing. It's going to be so hard for this movie to top this. And it doesn't, but still, it really shows how much detail, love and work went into this movie, just how awesome this is. Anyway, the kaiju sprouts wings and grabs Gypsy and starts flying into the sky. And with no way to get the kaiju off them, it looks like it's game over. However, Mako activates Gypsy Danger's sword option, which has had no build-up or mention till now, and they kind of just pull it out of their asses. Mainly because the writers were basically written into a corner. And yes, this is one of the biggest plot holes of this movie, because they had this sword the whole time, and it's shown to be really effective against kaijus, so why don't all other Jaegers have this equipped, and why didn't they use this from the start? Yeah, it's a big plot hole, there's not really much you can say to defend it. Anyway, they land Gypsy Danger and they have to get things quickly repaired to make their run to the rift and drop a nuke down it. It is then revealed that Idris Elba basically has cancer because he piloted a Jaeger by himself for too long and it basically destroyed his body. And that's why he bleeds from time to time throughout the movie. And doctors told him that if he pilots a Jaeger again, that it will basically kill him. So with the plan a go to drop the payload soon, 2 kaiju appear to guard the place. Anyway, while that's going on, Charlie the scientist and Hannibal Chow look over the kaiju corpse to find its brain, with Chow's team getting inside of it to strip down all the kaiju parts to sell off and all that stuff. However, when they dig deeper, they find that the kaiju was pregnant, and it bursts out of it and goes on a rampage, eating Hannibal Chow before dying and being strangled by its own umbilical cord. Huh. So I guess that kaiju's name was David Carradine. I am in so much trouble for that joke. Anyway, the dad pilot for Striker Eureka got injured in the fight, so can't pilot a Jaeger. So Idris steps in for the final mission, and he goes off to deliver the speech for the crew.
Today we face the monsters that are at our door and bring the fight to them. Today we are cancelling the apocalypse.
Well, we're more postponing it for the sequel. So the 2 surviving Jaegers go out with a bomb strapped to Striker Eureka. As they get closer, the kaiju's attack. However, while that's going on, Charlie the scientist and the scientist from Hustle link to the kaiju's brain, and they see some more weird stuff, and they find out that they need a kaiju for their plan to work, because the gate will only let kaijus go through it. So they need to make the rift think that the Jaegers are a kaiju, so that the bomb can go through. So they need a kaiju body to go through the rift. While that's going on, fighting the kaiju isn't going very well. Gypsy Danger has lost her arm again, but worse, a Category 5 kaiju appears, the biggest one ever. And well, while it looks intimidating and awesome, it kind of gets its ass kicked. But oh well, Idris decides to blow up the payload to kill all the kaiju, sacrificing him and the Australian kid in the process. Hey, couldn't we just put a timer on the bomb and... So with all the kaiju dead, they drag one of the corpses to the portal, and plan to blow up Gypsy Danger instead. However, the Category 5 kaiju is still alive, but not for much longer, as they just basically take it down to the rift with them, burning it alive when they blast it with Gypsy Danger's core. And this successfully gets them to the alien's world. Becket sends Mako to go through the escape pod, as he sets the self-destruct countdown, getting into his escape pod also. Quick question about that. If they need a kaiju to get through the rift, then why do the escape pods get through the rift with no problem at all? It doesn't really matter because Gypsy Danger explodes, destroying the alien world and closing the rift, saving the world, and everyone celebrates as Mako swims to Becket to see if he's okay, and they celebrate their victory. And it looks like they're going to kiss, and they don't. Yeah, that's kind of awesome. For once, the female and male lead do not hook up at the end of the movie. I kind of like how refreshing that is. And that was Pacific Rim. It's just goddamn awesome. This is one of the best movies I've ever reviewed on this channel. There is just so much love, detail and work put into this movie that it's just so much fun. It's got a great storyline, a great world, great characters, fantastic designs for the kaiju and the Jaegers. Pretty much most things about this movie is just fantastic. Yes, there are a few plot holes that, kind of stick out like a sore thumb, but with a movie being this awesome, you really can forgive it. The soundtrack is awesome. Everything about this movie is awesome. I cannot recommend this movie enough. If you want to sit back, watch a movie that makes you feel like a kid again, then this is the movie for you. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's on the same level as fun as something like Godzilla Final Wars. It's just a great 2 hours of absolute insanity and just amazing fun, and I just go out and watch it. Stop watching this review and go out and watch it. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's head back to the wheel, and I will see you guys next time when I review Gamera versus Gaios. I will see you then.